Welcome to the Human Nature Channel. I'm your host, Alex Tamsula, and what am I doing here? Well, it's Wednesday morning once again at my dad's Folsom Farm garage. I'm telling you, if you need an extension cord just like that, they're right over there. And what do I have interesting to show you tonight? I had to bring up my other tripod to get this shot, but here we have a display of artifacts from World War II. There's my dad's army coat. He enlisted into the army in early 1945 and was training to be a tanker, but the war ended before he ever saw any action. There's the civil defense helmet I mentioned in an earlier video. We also have examples of high caliber rounds of ammunition. Rest assured, there's nothing in them. They are empty shells. I mean, if this were live, could I do this? Oops. So I think I have everything I need. I have a box of push pins. I have a cork board, so with my push pins I can post notes to self. I have a can of Pam cooking spray. If recent news reports are true about cans of Pam sometimes being the source of kitchen fireball explosions, maybe this should go on the shelf with the rest of the ordnance. I'll wait until it's empty before I put it up there. I have my pointer with a magnet on it. I have a letter opener. A rather unconventional letter opener, I will admit. And I have a box on the floor for my junk mail. A bit of Las Vegas Shooting Truth community news. On Sunday, June 23rd, around 11 p.m., I opened my email box and saw Mike Turber at 5x5 News was starting a live stream chat. I rushed right over, and let me tell you, I was glad I did. Mike noticed I was there and said, "Hey everybody, Alex Tamsula is here. He has a YouTube channel that's really good and you should subscribe to him." I picked up 20 subscribers that night. It was great. Once again, thank you, Mike. It was a fun live chat. I was making comments. I was having a great back and forth with folks. One guy I thought was kind of trolling the place ended up subscribing to me. What a blast. I do enjoy live chats. Next, a bit of tech news. Last Thursday, the power went out in my apartment for 2.5 hours after a rainstorm. That afternoon was shot to hell. When the power finally came back on, it took me another hour to get my internet back. If you have Verizon fiber optic for your internet like I do and lose your connection, find the Verizon electrical box wherever it is located. The unit should be under a bundle of thin plastic conduits coming out of the ceiling. On the box will be some sort of reset button. Mine happened to be on the underside, and originally I thought it was just a rubber plug in a hole. Since it was the only thing on the box I could even push, I put my finger in it and held it up for 30 seconds. This while standing in water because the laundry room where the box is mounted had leaked water on the floor after the rain. But then I went back upstairs into my apartment and I could see the World Wide Web light on my modem had stopped glowing red. And soon I was back online. This could save you an hour on hold if you were calling Verizon customer service for this problem, FYI. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? I have now finished reading the FIT report. Yes, I made it all the way through the damn thing. I took 7 pages of notes, fighting my way through the timeline and the autopsy and the toxicology report. I can state factually there were no stones in Stephen Paddock's gallbladder, so we can rule that out as extenuating circumstance. But why was Paddock's selenium content 19 times higher than normal? We may never get an answer to that question. And yes, I know, what if the body being autopsied wasn't Paddock's? We'll leave that for another time. I plan on rereading the FIT report at some point after I've recovered. There's a lot in it, and there are a couple of points I'd like to cover as fast as I can, so bear with me. In my Las Vegas shooting video number 16, the Las Vegas shooting, We Be John Cullen, I said I had yet to hear anybody say they saw Paddock fire a gun. Well, I stand corrected. It turns out there was somebody who saw Paddock fire a gun, and that was none other than Mary Lou Danley. In her interview with the LVMPD and the FBI investigators, she said she traveled with Paddock to the unofficial gun range / landfill in Mesquite and observed Paddock firing his weapons. Unimpeachable source, that Mary Lou. I'm surprised I had never read that detail in any of the news articles. Also, in my very first Las Vegas shooting video, number 7, the Las Vegas shooting, the Squirrel Hill Synagogue shooting, and Laura Loomer, I erroneously stated the deadbolt to room 32-135 was engaged. This is an error. According to the lock interrogation report, at 23:20 hours, the door to 32-135 showed open from the inside, meaning it wasn't deadbolted. A person could have only gained entry to 135 with Paddock's key card or an explosive charge, take your pick. There was also something else that came as a surprise, something I haven't heard anybody talk about yet. Maybe it has come up in somebody's video or in a live chat somewhere, but are you aware there were bullet holes inside room 32-135? From page 92 of the FIT report, there was a bullet hole through the east arm of the orange chair, 2 bullet holes into the entertainment center cabinet along the south wall, and 1 bullet hole into the south wall between the entertainment center cabinet and the connecting door to room 32-134. Now keep in mind, this has nothing to do with SWAT officer O'Donnell's accidental firing while fumbling with the selector switch on his semi-automatic rifle. Those 3 shots into the wall in room 134 are accounted for. So what are we to make of a bullet hole in the orange chair, the 2 bullet holes into the entertainment center cabinet, and the 1 bullet hole into the wall between the entertainment cabinet and the connecting door? Was our shooter in room 135 so crazed he was also firing inside the room? Were the shots from any of the rifles? I'd like to know that. Were the shots from any handgun? The FIT report is silent on these questions. But wait, there's more. Page 93 of the FIT report states this: the dresser drawers were open and the decorative bottom molding was broken. So what was going on in room 135 where we have bullet holes in a chair and the wall? What was happening in room 134 where we have a dresser that looked like it was searched and a bottom part of it broken? Could there have been a violent struggle going on in these rooms? I'll throw that out there for other people to comment on. Maybe I'll do another video coming at the FIT report from a different angle, considering this is the only biography of Stephen Paddock we'll ever get. We'll see. Oh, and last but not least, there's what we have on page 86. The attached southeast bathroom had a tub along the north wall with 2 glass vacuum suction holders on top of the tub's ledge. What's up with that shit? Okay, enough evidence, because tonight what I really want to do is focus on how the FIT report is structured. I'm somebody who has tackled some pretty hard books in my day, and I still found the FIT reports daunting. How do I begin to talk about it? I know. I'll start at the end. Of all the things I read in the FIT report, this one has to be the weirdest detail by far. Page 145, tissue/organ donation, Nevada Donor Network protocol followed. What? I'm also throwing this out there for the commenters, and please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but are we talking about organ procurement here? Was 1 or more of Stephen Paddock's organs donated? Is there 1 or more organ recipients who got a second chance thanks to Stephen Paddock? This might be neither here nor there. This might be nothing at all. But I was not prepared for the bizarro notion that Stephen Paddock gave the gift of life to somebody. It almost comes across as a sick joke. Organ procurement at a harvest festival, no less? I'm just going to make a face and leave it at that. for now. This ghoulish blip forms the backdrop to tonight's question. Who is the Fit Report written for? To grapple with such a question, it might be helpful to step back and ask, well, what is the Fit Report exactly? The Fit Report is a police report. You could say it is a collection of police reports coalesced and summarized, and even though it goes beyond the usual confines of your average police report, with an entire section devoted to intent, usually a subject taken up by prosecuting attorneys, it's still a police report. You could jettison the entire section on intent and still have a description of the crime with witness statements, inventory of evidence, toxicology reports, and the whatnot. Like Sergeant Joe Friday used to say on the old TV show Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. Dun, 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 dun. Shucks, I'm getting nostalgic for the good old days when we thought police detectives actually wanted to solve crimes. So, the Fit Report, it's a police report. And again, I ask, who is it meant for? To put this into some kind of context, let me tell you the story of a single police report. The year is 1996, a year after the O.J. Simpson trial, and political sensibilities about violence against women were still running pretty high. Somebody I know was arrested for attempted murder. The complaint was this. The individual's ex-girlfriend went to the police and made the following statement. I was driving down the street when I saw my boyfriend driving down the other way. When he saw me, he pulled out a shotgun and pointed it at me. I'm not sure if the girlfriend mentioned that the individual in question had ended their relationship a day or so earlier, but apparently she sounded credible enough, so the police had no choice but to arrest the individual, in a rather public manner, I might add, and he had to spend a night in a jug. The next morning, so I could drive him home, I was at this guy's bail hearing. Not knowing what to expect, I was surprised when this individual was released on his own recognizance. Now, how many suspects in an alleged attempted murder case have you ever heard getting to leave on their own recognizance? This is the only one I know of. I said to myself, the judge must have read the police report and smelled a rat, as the judge should have. This guy, he doesn't even own any guns. I know this for certain because the individual in question is my brother. The point I'm making is this. A police report is meant at the outset for a judge in a bail hearing. Any police report at its creation exists in an indeterminate state. The police just take down the witness's statement, and whether the information in the police report is true or not will be sorted out later by judges and prosecuting attorneys. Anyway, back to our story. The next judge to have access to the police report would have been the judge presiding at the preliminary hearing. To get to the punchline, the judge heard the testimony of the crazy ex-girlfriend and dismissed the charges with prejudice. Legal jargon for this witness is completely full of shit. So now that it's all said and done, we go back to the police report made by the crazy ex-girlfriend, and we can say the report wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. But that isn't known until it passes through the hands of judges and prosecutors. Therefore, police reports are written for them. However, when it comes to the Las Vegas shooting, there was never going to be any trial since the suspect was dead. It would not be part of any judges or prosecutors' paperwork. I ask again, who was the Fit Report written for? Was it written for the families of the victims of the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre? Was it written for the survivors? Was it written for the general public? The answer to these three questions, I would have to say, is no. By interested layman standards, the Fit Report is rough going. The entire timeline of Paddock's travels between September 19th and October 1st is enough to make you dizzy, as well as the bag-by-bag description of all the luggage moved. The repetition of certain events, like Jesus' story about going down the 100-wing hallway, is told 4 different times, tempting a reader to maybe skip ahead. I think a lot of folks reading the Fit Report would quit before finishing it. I'm not saying the Fit Report was intentionally written in such a way as to defeat the casual reader, but the authors of the Fit Report didn't seem to care if that happened. They didn't seem to care if the reader got as far as the tissue/organ donation Nevada Donor Network protocol followed. The Fit Report doesn't put any of the details gathered into any type of context. Not that it should, but it doesn't draw any conclusions like, boy, putting that L-shaped bracket on that fire door was a really dumb thing to do. It's a fire door, for Christ's sakes. That paddock really increased the odds that somebody might stumble upon the something fishy that was going on down at the end of the 100-wing hallway. So again, I ask, who was the Fit Report written for? Because I don't think it was written for us. Well, I believe I know who the Fit Report was for. And to bolster my conclusion, first we'll take a look at Eric Peters' excellent Las Vegas shooting video, Las Vegas shooting Campos on Nightline. Security officer Campos entered the service elevator at 21:46 hours and got off on the 30th floor at 21:47 hours. From the Nightline broadcast, the reporter intones, on October 1st, 2017, Mandalay Bay security officer Jesus Campos is on a routine security check assigned to a room alarm on the 32nd floor. We see 2 CCTV camera views of Campos getting onto the service elevator, one outside and one inside. Eric has circled the time when Jesus is inside the elevator. It's important to note that the circled time display was inserted by ABC News. There is no timestamp in the lower corner of the image where you'd normally expect to find it. Eric then compares that footage with the video from body cam 351 in the Mandalay Bay security room. From the bank of monitors, he gives us a close-up of the monitor on the area around the service elevator Campos used. And we see significant differences with stacked boxes and other items in that area, as opposed to the exact same area seen in the Nightline footage. Here, I supply a screen grab of what Eric found. Next, I'd like to mention a video posted on a Las Vegas shooting video channel called F. Subscribe to the guy, for crying out loud. I did. His video is titled, What Happened at 9:59. You'll find links to Eric's and F's videos in the notes below. F's video is about the LVMPD's changing timeline and things that were said by Sheriff Joe Lombardo initially, like, Jesus Campos was shot in the leg at 9:59. F reviews the same Nightline footage as Eric, emphasizing the point that the video's timestamp has been grayed out and that ABC News inserted their own time code with semicolons instead of the usual colons. F tells us in the screen text that Campos is shot at 10:06! To match the Fit Report. But it was 9:59! There we have the answer to the question, who was the Fit Report written for? It was written for big media. Big, stinking, gutless corporate broadcast media. It was the blueprint for big media to follow. We've seen this before with the Warren Commission report on the JFK assassination. We've seen this with the 9/11 Commission report. Hey, big media, follow the blueprint. When it comes to the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, everything you have to say about the shooting better be in agreement with the Fit Report. You don't want to find out what happens if you don't. Today in America, we find ourselves inside, surrounded, and immersed in the greatest propaganda machine the world has ever seen. It is meant to overwhelm us. If the Las Vegas shooting truth community wants to be more than just a debating society, we need a collective plan that is also a call to action. I don't expect Jake Morphonius and Jason Goodman to get drunk in a bar, putting their arms around each other saying, "I love you, man." At least not anytime soon. But they both can agree, I'm sure, that the LVMPD's accounting of the Las Vegas shooting is one big pile of shit. Mike Turber, Paladin, Doug Papa have all said in so many words that the Las Vegas shooting investigation is the worst police investigation they've ever seen. Since a reopening of the investigation into the shooting probably won't happen on the state level, the only way to play this is to find a way to put pressure on the United States House of Representatives and its Judiciary Committee to reopen the Las Vegas shooting investigation. There is precedent for this. After years of public clamor and numerous books by investigative journalists and celebrity support for the suspicion that the American public was not being told the truth about political assassinations, in 1976, the United States House of Representatives Select Committee on Assassinations, otherwise known as HSCA, was established to investigate the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy and the Reverend Martin Luther King. Now, of course, the HSCA didn't amount to much. But my point is, politicians can be frightened by a public outcry that has facts on its side. The U.S. House of Representatives taking a look at the Las Vegas shooting is within the realm of possibility. That is, if we really get down into that sort of activism. I'm willing to be an activist on the reopening of the investigation into the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, and I don't even like activists. I think they stink up the joint. Be that as it may, the longer we wait to put some kind of plan together where we can take this show on the road and ultimately to Washington, D.C., the harder it's going to be. Inside America's gigantic propaganda apparatus, where we all are, it looks to me like a game of beat the clock. All tragedies fade from public consciousness, some faster than others. As with the JFK assassination or even 9/11, whenever I bring up the subject of the Las Vegas shooting, a lot of people act like they don't want to hear it. It's Vegas, with everything that implies in the popular imagination. Bugsy Siegel's memorial outside the wedding chapel at the Flamingo might give folks pause right there. What I say is, grabbing that popular imagination for our cause is the key. Oh, and the song, Down South in New Orleans, written by Bobby Charles. Down south in New Orleans, the prettiest girls I've ever seen. Sparkling eyes, lips so sweet. We make love to the rumba beat. Ships at anchor, my suitcase packed. Got a one-way ticket, ain't coming back. Life's a pleasure, love's no dream. Down south in New Orleans. My dark-eyed baby, I'm on my way back into your arms to stay. I'm tired of work, I wanna play. I'll make sweet love to you night and day. Down south in New Orleans, the prettiest girls I've ever seen. Sparkling eyes, lips so sweet. We make love to the rumba beat. Ships at anchor, my suitcase packed. Got a one-way ticket, ain't coming back. Life's a pleasure, love's no dream. Down south in New Orleans. I wanna get too loose on Toulouse Street. Wanna kiss all the Creole girls I see. Drink all day, dance all night. Do it wrong till I do it right. Down south in New Orleans, the prettiest girls I've ever seen. Sparkling eyes, lips so sweet. We make love to the rumba beat. Ships at anchor, my suitcase packed. Got a one-way ticket, ain't coming back. Life's a pleasure, love's no dream. Down south in New Orleans. Later,